Ask a dealer about Suzuki's quirks and they'll suddenly look like they've lost Wi-Fi connection. Meanwhile, actual owners online will gladly tell you the full story. Fuel sensitivities, corrosion surprises, sensor tantrums, and the uniquely Suzuki behavior that shows up at the exact moment you need smooth performance the most. This script isn't here to attack Suzuki. It's here to show you what you wish someone told you before you buy one. Suzuki's lean burn system is one of their biggest selling points. Better fuel economy, cleaner combustion, smoother running. What's not to love? Well, lean burn is fantastic as long as the stars align. When everything is perfect, the DF engines run beautifully. But lean burn engines are like elite athletes, unbelievably efficient, but incredibly fussy. Feed them anything less than quality fuel, and they start acting like you've poisoned them. One of the most common hidden truths among Suzuki DF owners is how dramatically the engine's behavior changes with fuel quality. Slight water contamination, rough running, old petrol, hesitations, micro varnish from fuel sitting too long, starts stalling, coughing, or idling like it just woke up from a bad dream. A Yamaha or Honda might shrug it off. A Suzuki DF? It reacts instantly, dramatically, and sometimes unpredictably. And then there's the cold start behavior. Some Suzuki DFs fire up instantly. Others act like you've woken them from a deep, peaceful winter hibernation. Perfectly maintained engines can suddenly become stubborn, especially on colder mornings. It's not a sign of failure, it's just Suzuki being Suzuki. Lean burn gives great efficiency, but the price you pay is fuel sensitivity and occasional stubbornness. Sellers rarely mention that part. Suzuki engines don't have a reputation for catastrophic electrical failures, but they do have a reputation for personality, especially older DF models, which love sending owners on little scavenger hunts for the cause of random alarms, false codes, or idle inconsistencies. Across the DF lineup, one of the most consistent complaints from mechanics is that Suzuki sensors tend to get moody, not dead, not failing, just moody. A crank position sensor that occasionally loses signal, a temperature sensor that gives inconsistent readings, an O2 sensor that behaves perfectly on Monday and then throws a fit on Wednesday. These issues don't ruin the engine, but they do create the kind of annoying symptoms that only diagnostics can properly interpret. Electrical connectors on older Suzuki DFs are another under-discussed weak point. They can corrode faster than Yamaha or Mercury connectors, especially in saltwater environments. This corrosion doesn't always cause a full failure. It just causes weird behavior. A stumble here, a random misfire there, a ghost alarm that appears once and then disappears for months. It's like the engine is trying to get your attention, but isn't sure what it wants to tell you. Mechanics often joke that Suzuki's electrical system is great when it's happy and confusing when it's not. And the diagnostic gear isn't universal. If your shop doesn't have the proper SDS software, troubleshooting becomes a guessing game. Corrosion is Suzuki's quiet enemy, not destructive, boat-ruining corrosion like in some notoriously bad outboards from history, but sneaky, annoying, progressive corrosion that shows up slowly and silently. Most Suzuki owners who boat in saltwater will eventually notice spots where the paint begins to bubble, where bolts start seizing, or where trim components begin showing rust much earlier than expected. Part of the issue is Suzuki's paint process. On paper, it's excellent, but in real-world harsh salt exposure, it doesn't always age gracefully. Yamaha paint tends to fade. Mercury paint sometimes flakes. Suzuki paint, sometimes it dissolves into a modern art experiment, especially near the midsection and trim bracket areas. Trim and tilt corrosion is a known theme among high-hour Suzuki DF engines. If you leave your engine tilted for long periods, especially in salt water, corrosion appears noticeably faster than on some competitors. The tilt motor bolts, midsection housings, and certain exhaust areas can develop corrosion long before the engine stops working. Another hidden issue: exhaust housing corrosion on older DFs. Gradual buildup and deterioration accumulate quietly until one day a mechanic opens the cowl and says, "Yeah, we need to talk." It's manageable with maintenance, but most sellers don't mention it because it's a long-term problem, not something you notice on day one. Here's one of the biggest frustrations among Suzuki owners worldwide, and the part dealers absolutely never bring up. Parts availability varies massively dependent on where you live. It's one of those problems you never think about until your engine actually needs something. And suddenly, you're staring at shipping estimates that look more like holiday plans than delivery timelines. In places like North America, Australia, New Zealand, and big chunks of Europe, Suzuki parts often take noticeably longer to arrive compared to Yamaha or Mercury. And we're not talking about rare or exotic parts. Sometimes it's the basic things: a simple gasket, a trim seal, a shift actuator, an ignition component, or even a bolt with a specific Suzuki thread. The kind of things Yamaha can deliver in 2 days, and Mercury keeps stacked in every dealership back room. With Suzuki, these same items can take weeks, and in unlucky cases, months, especially if the part is tied to an older DF model or one of the less common horsepower brackets. Mechanics hate making the phone call where they say, "We're waiting on the Suzuki part," because every experienced Suzuki owner knows those words could mean absolutely anything. It might be a 48-hour delay, or it might be half your boating season. It's unpredictable, and unpredictability is the one thing boaters hate more than bad weather. The frustrating part is that this has nothing to do with reliability. Suzuki engines don't fail more often. But when something does go wrong, even something minor, you start a waiting game with a supply chain that just isn't as broad, deep, or fast as Yamaha's or Mercury's huge distribution networks. Here's the brutal, honest truth. When a Suzuki breaks, the repair time usually isn't about the damage. It's about the weight. And sellers almost never warn you about that. Suzuki loves to highlight how quiet their engines are. And to be fair, they are impressively silent once you're up on plane. At cruising speeds, the DF lineup hums along like a polite guest who doesn't want to disturb anyone, but drop that throttle down to idle, especially in the 600 to 1000 RPM range, and suddenly you're introduced to a very different personality. A personality that dealerships forget to mention in the showroom because you'd never hear it on a stand with no hull attached. Some Suzuki DF engines develop a distinctive vibration or harmonic hum at idle that catches new owners completely off guard. It's not dangerous. It's not mechanical failure. It's simply a quirk of how Suzuki's blocks, mounts, timing systems, and lean burn mapping work together at low RPM. But when you're tied up at the dock, drifting into a marina, or moving through a no-wake zone, That low-frequency thrum travels through the hull like someone gently shaking a metal table underneath your feet. On aluminum boats, the vibration can be even more noticeable. The hull becomes a speaker, amplifying every tiny harmonic like a budget sound system. Fiberglass boats handle it better. But even then, owners report a faint seat buzz or cockpit hum that wasn't exactly advertised. Then there's the mechanical chatter. Many Suzuki DF models have a subtle clicking or ticking sound at idle caused by the timing chain tensioner, valve train, and fuel injection working together. It's normal, but it doesn't sound normal to someone expecting whisper-quiet luxury. Mechanics hear this constantly and say, "That's just Suzuki." Dealers, they avoid mentioning it altogether because the engine sounds perfect during a glossy showroom demonstration. The truth only reveals itself once the engine meets real water, real hull resonance, and real-world idle speeds. Suzuki engines have a funny way of aging. Not badly, just differently. Some DF motors will run past 1,000 hours and still feel almost brand new, smooth as ever, unfazed by years of salt water. Others begin to develop what owners politely call quirks, and what mechanics bluntly describe as the Suzuki personality phase. These aren't failures, they're signs of wear that show up unevenly across the DF lineup. You start seeing the usual suspects. Cold starts that suddenly take a little longer, a bit more idle vibration than you remember, or a tiny hesitation when you throttle up. Nothing major, nothing dangerous. But you can tell the engine is no longer in its energetic, youthful stage. Timing chain tensioners sometimes get a little louder with age, and mechanical controls, especially on older installations, can stiffen up like they've spent the weekend sleeping in an uncomfortable position. By the 600 to 800 hour mark, many Suzuki owners describe their engines as having more personality. Not worse, just moodier. It's the outboard equivalent of getting older knees. You can still run, but you make more sound effects while doing it. Then there's the weight factor. Suzuki's higher horsepower DF outboards are often heavier than Yamaha, Mercury, or Honda equivalents. Some of that extra weight comes from using larger displacement blocks, which helps with smoothness and durability. But the trade-offs are real. A heavier engine can slow your whole shot, put more strain on the transom, drag the stern lower, and feel noticeably less forgiving on smaller or lightly built hulls. Dealers rarely mention this because the difference only becomes obvious once you're on the water. Maintenance is another hidden challenge. Suzuki engines are reliable, but they are undeniably more frustrating to work on. Access to simple components like spark plugs, fuel filters, or the VST often requires more time, more disassembly, and more patience. Or, as mechanics say with a sigh, Suzukis don't break, but when we service them, they make us swear more. So after everything we've covered, what's the actual shocking truth about Suzuki's DF outboards? It's surprisingly simple. Suzuki builds genuinely good engines, efficient, smooth, long-lasting machines that have earned a loyal following worldwide. But like every outboard brand, they also come with real-world weaknesses that dealers rarely bring up, either because they don't want to scare buyers, or because they assume you won't notice until the warranty is over. The honest reality is that Suzuki engines are not magical. They're not flawless. They're not immune to quirks. They're normal machines with normal engineering limitations and some uniquely Suzuki traits. They absolutely hate old fuel. Their sensors can get moody for reasons nobody fully understands. Parts can take forever to arrive, long enough that your plans for a summer boating trip start to look like autumn camping plans instead. Corrosion creeps in slowly, especially around the midsection and trim components, even on well-maintained engines. Then you have the idle vibration, the low RPM hum, the chatter that pops up once your engine meets real-world hull resonance. Not exactly the whisper-quiet fantasy in the brochure. Maintenance isn't always simple either. Suzuki engines are durable, but they aren't always easy to reach inside. And as they age, they pick up small quirks, like harder cold starts or hesitation during acceleration, that give them a kind of mechanical personality. And finally, the weight. On paper, it seems like a small thing, but once your stern sits lower or your whole shot slows down, you realize heavier outboards do change the feel of a boat. But none of this makes Suzuki a bad brand. It just makes them honest, human, and far more real than the marketing suggests. If you buy one knowing these truths, you'll appreciate the strengths even more. If you don't, well, you'll discover the surprises the hard way. So that's the truth sellers won't tell you. Suzuki DF engines are efficient, powerful, and often great value, but they come with quirks that every buyer deserves to know. Now that you understand the hidden side of these outboards, you'll be far better prepared when choosing your next engine. If you want a breakdown of the best DF models to buy and the ones to avoid, let me know in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and check out my other video on the worst outboard engines ever made. Thanks for watching, and happy boating.